runners know that the gradient only gets steeper from here on. After struggling over 3 climbs in the final 30 kilometres of yesterday's stage, they face 6 in the first 130 today, so there's climbing from the off. We're still in the Vosges, of course, not the Alps or the Pyrenees, so the mountains aren't the biggest we'll see all tour, but they are relentless, nothing but climbing or descending for the majority of the day. The road signs are a reminder that France hasn't always had naming rights up here. The Markstein is a first category col, the first of the tour in fact, and the climbing continues up over 1,300 metres on the Grand Ballon. There's a kick-up or two on the way down, then finally some flat, a 20-kilometre chase into Mulhouse. And it should be a chase. This stage is crying out for someone to try their luck.
Riders, 20 of them, because they brought back the 2 chasers as they go under 10 kilometres to go. The gap, 3 minutes 8 seconds to Tony Martin. No one in the world could bridge a gap of 3 minutes 8 seconds to Tony Martin with only 4.4 miles to race. They know Martin's power. They know he can't be caught now. This is a great moment. Now, look, he started the day 18 minutes behind Nibali. He's only going to gain, he's going to pull back 8, but he's nowhere near enough. There's no yellow for him. It's the moment that's for him.
Yes, and what's more important, Phil, is when you see a guy like this who's been at the front of the race for over 100 miles, he's still riding at 44 kilometres an hour, which is 27.5 miles an hour. The crowd have run out to the side of the road now, been watching this on television for the last 2 or 3 hours, and they know this man has put in a sterling performance. And he's one of those riders who's had such an incredible up and down relationship with the Tour de France. Going back to the Olympic Games a couple of years ago, if you remember, he prepared for the individual time trial there, and he actually crashed and broke his wrist during the Tour de France.
The 3 with the most to gain, the 3 men at the front of the race, Galopin, Roland, and they've just changed now, but Machado was the 3rd man in that blue jersey. The virtual leaders of the Tour now, they know what they've got. They're riding themselves into the ground here to make sure that they move up. After a full day of trying to gain time on the yellow, they don't want to lose it now.
Well, Tony Martin sees another banner here. This should be the banner that will tell him he's just got 5 kilometres to go to the finish.
Beneath the heavy skies as we head into Mulhouse, 5 kilometres or 3 miles to go for Tony Martin. He is about 6 minutes at the most from the finish at the way this man races the kilometres.
Well, no signs of emotion. There is urgency and emotion, though, in the second group on the road. They're not going to get the victory on the stage here this afternoon, but for Pierre Roland of Team Europcar, it's a question of moving up a little bit higher in the overall standings. He started the day quite a long way down, but wanted to keep himself as a possible challenger for a top 10 finish down towards the end. So too Thiago Machado, he wasn't too far down at the start of the day. He was only looking for 6 minutes. He too will be placing himself right up in amongst the leaders tonight.
Straight road now as he takes Tony Martin into town. If we're thinking who might win the sprint behind, I'd watch out for Rojas of the Movistar team. There's no other sprinters as quick as he is in that back group, I don't think, and he will be the one to try and take out the best of the rest. Now the man in blue, Thiago Machado, came over to this team Netap Endura. They got a wild card place in the Tour de France. He is a very, very good stage race rider.
No, he certainly is. He's a great climber as well, who's come across to this Netap Endura squad, and that's why he's quite happy to keep the pace high. He knows 3 or 4 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes when the clock stops at the end of the day could be extremely important for him at the end of the 3-week tour, because he could see himself finishing this bike race inside of the top 10 after 3 weeks of racing.
It's interesting to see so many riders getting away from the peloton in the first half an hour of racing today. Which indicates that we're in for a very, very unpredictable Tour de France, I think. And these riders now realise what they have got. They're reshuffling the overall. How long it will stay reshuffled, because tomorrow we expect it to go into their hat again on the climbs. There are 4 of them in the Vosges, but the Vosges has given us a great 2 days so far. Meanwhile, under 10 kilometres, the Astana team of Vincenzo Nibali, and it's 8:17 the gap. It's gone further out as far as Martin is concerned.
Yes, it has, and that's all power to this man who, look at his body here, Phil. The top half of his body, the shoulders, they are locked solid. All of the power is coming from his thighs. He's stomping a massive big gear as he goes through 4 kilometres to go. That's 2.5 miles. 3 kilometres to go. That's 2 miles of racing to get to the finish.
Well, this is it's been 20 kilometres of a sheer lap of honour for Tony Martin today, because he said he felt he could win, and he went very early on as he broke away up the climb of the La Markstein. This is Machado with a lot to gain today. He's converting his overnight deficit of 6 minutes 7 seconds into a much better position in the overall classification.
An amazing amount of urgency in that second group on the road. They're trying to conserve the advantage they've built up over a long 100-mile stage today. Tony Martin, though, he can enjoy this final part of the race. Looks across, he knows he's got it now. It's just a question of, you know, turn the clock forward, fast wind towards the finish line, because this one is pretty much in the bag. It doesn't matter how much he wins by at the end of the day, Phil. All he wants to do is win the individual stage. Special glory for him. And I suppose he'll stay up late tonight and watch the World Cup final soccer.
Well, he's set the ball rolling. It's up to the soccer players now to see if they can beat Argentina. But right now, this man is beating a number of nations in the Tour de France as he comes home. He's not a man to win this race in Paris in 2 weeks' time, because he can't climb the high mountains like the likes of Alberto Contador or even Vincenzo Nibali and the rest. But today was his day. He has a huge engine inside that body that never lets him down when he's out alone on the road. 3 times the time trial champion of Germany, 3 times the time trial champion of the world. He's now beginning to search for 1 kilometre to go.
Yep, as far as he's concerned, he's going to really enjoy the final 500 metres of this stage. But this man too could, because he's still got the yellow jersey Virtuel on his shoulders. That's why he's urgently coming to the front. You know, the family is a big family when it comes to cycling. 3 of the Galopin brothers, his father and 2 brothers, were professional cyclists way back in the 1970s and 80s, and they all participated in the Tour de France.
The effort still being made here by the chase group. The gap still extending, 8:23, and even the chasers have nudged out just a couple of seconds over Nibali. Martin is eating them and pushing them way into the background. But the peloton are just about holding on to the losses on that chase group. It's going to be around 1 minute and 40 seconds for the yellow. This is going to feel unbelievable to the German cyclist now. He won a time trial in Grenoble, but now he's winning what he always wanted, a road race in Mulhouse.
And people, Phil, always ask us, why do guys go out into the breakaway? Because the breakaway always gets caught. Well, on this occasion, Tony Martin has gone out to prove that he is the exception to the rule.
A smile, he waves to his team management. We did it, guys. The plan we talked about last night, get me in the early break, let me ride alone, and then I'll do the rest for you. And he's done it. Tony Martin, a time trial champion of the world, time trials to a road race victory of the Tour de France.
But when it came down to having to finish it off himself, he didn't ask for any help at all. What an amazing ride by that man to pull that one off.
Well, the work being done here by Gautier for Roland. Roland will come out of his slipstream soon. Every second counts. Cyril Gautier has driven himself into the ground. There were 5 riders on Europe car originally. Now there are just 2 left. Gautier, the last faithful man. The peloton lining up for the sprint. Movistar's Rojas on paper is the fastest finisher, but I can't see him at the moment. He's right down the back of the field. Maybe he's not interested in going anywhere as they race for the line. And Pierre Roland is going to go under the 1 kilometre.
Well, talking about Greg van Avermaet for BMC, he could very well be the man looking to get himself second across the line. He's shown us over the last couple of days that he's got some real serious form, and he's sitting there in 3rd position. That's him for Team BMC. We've looked at a stage of almost 41 kilometres an hour here this afternoon, but more importantly, what is going to be the gap between Tony Galopin's group and the yellow jersey group of Vincenzo Nibali? It needs to be 3 minutes and 28 as they start the sprint to the line.
Well, Feliu in the white is going to have a dig for this. Van Avermaet is in second wheel here. Rojas doesn't look to be interested. Cancellara in the black. He's going to have a go. He packs a good sprint when he wants to sprint, Fabian Cancellara. But is he going to open up and allow Greg van Avermaet the victory here as they come up towards the line? It's time that counts as far as the majority feel. Here's the kick for the line now. BMC's Greg van Avermaet. Cancellara cheekily taking the slipstream of van Avermaet. And watch out, because Cancellara can finish fast when he wants to. And that was close on the line. It'll go either way, that when we have a look at the photograph. But the clock pull, what was it?
Well, it doesn't matter. I've started my clock anyway, Phil. It needs to be 3:27 was the amount he started behind. So once it hits 3:28, then Tony Gallopin is definitely in the lead of this bike race. But just looking at the time gaps a little bit further down the road, they're not going to wipe that away in the last few meters. And I think everybody knows.
Well, this is the scene now for the man who is the next Maillot Jaune. We've had the same leader since Sheffield on day 2, but now we're on day 9 of the Tour de France, and this man knows, and I think somewhat intentionally, he wanted to pass that jersey on.
Relinquishing the overall lead for a couple of days is not a problem for Vincenzo Nibali. Tomorrow there will be big time checks and big time differences when we get to the summit of the final climb of the day.
In the distance is the 2-kilometer banner. The clock is ticking. In the next 20 seconds, Nibali will be confirmed as having lost his lead in the Tour de France, a lead which has lasted for a week after brilliantly taking it in Sheffield. The jersey will pass over now to a Frenchman on Bastille Day. Tony Gallopin, in just 10 seconds' time, is the leader of the Tour de France, and after that, every second is his gain for tomorrow. But it is a real tough day tomorrow. It's gone by.
Now, the big question is, Phil, as we now know, there will be a new leader in the Tour de France tonight. His name, Tony Gallopin, but will he have enough time to keep the yellow jersey at the end of Bastille Day? Because that finish tomorrow is a very difficult finish up to the Planche des Belles Filles.
Well, one would say the odds are against him with the effort he's made today, but we expect the riders who are planning a final assault in 2 weeks' time to take the race to Paris when we finish and reserve tomorrow for a private playground where they'll go out and fight. But today, it's the story of a Frenchman, just like it was yesterday, and for any Frenchman to lead the Tour de France on Bastille Day, it is very, very special. Tony Gallopin, in his 4th Tour de France, is going on to the podium of the race for the very first time in his career.
That's so far he's got himself a 1 minute advantage over Vincenzo Nibali. It depends on what the clock stops at the finishing line, but that's a nice little buffer to go into tomorrow's stage, and the pressure now in this race of controlling the pacemaking in the peloton is going to be handed over to the Belgian squad of Lotto Belisol.
So the sun shines in Mulhouse. It's been a weekend for the French. Yesterday, Blel Kadri won the stage at Jérémie. Today, it is Tony Gallopin who takes over the race lead. 7:46 as they cross the line.
There's the stage result. Tony Martin with 2 minutes 45 to spare on the line, and Fabien Cancellara winning the sprint for second place at the head of the chasing group from Greg Van Avermaet. Tony Gallopin wasn't interested in sprinting for places. He finished 16th, knowing that was good enough to take the yellow jersey. And right behind him was Pierre Rolland, who took back a good chunk of the 7.5 minutes he was behind by this morning. Joaquim Rodriguez was 20th, just behind the break group. All the favourites finished in the main field at 7 minutes 46 behind the winner. And as happened yesterday, the stage winner also took the polka dot jersey, although only just, and Tony Martin will no doubt lose it himself tomorrow, just as he has for this interview.
The feeling on the last 5 kilometers when I knew I have it 100%, doesn't matter what happened, if there's a puncture or a crash, the 3 minutes, I always could make it. The feeling was incredible, and I think I still could push 400 or 500 watts easy because I didn't feel pain anymore.
I imagine Tony Gallopin will be anaesthetised by national pride to whatever pain awaits him on tomorrow's mountains. He now leads the Tour by 1 minute and 34 seconds from Vincenzo Nibali. Another breakaway rider, Thiago Machado, splits Nibali and his teammate Jakob Fuglsang. And behind Port, Kwiatkowski and Valverde, Pierre Rolland has ridden himself up into 8th. Alberto Contador is now 9th, although no further behind Vincenzo Nibali than he was at the start of the stage. In fact, places 6 to 10 this morning have just been shunted down to become places 9 to 13 tonight. Now, as you can see, as soon as he crosses the finish line, Tony Gallopin kisses his missus in celebration. And minutes later on the podium, his missus kisses Tony Martin, as per her job description. Not the major part of her working life, though, it should be noted. Marion Rousse is an excellent cyclist in her own right, rides for Lotto Belisol Ladies, and was the 2012 French national champion. Gallopin, meanwhile, was talking to Ned.
I have this plan since the cobble stage. I know I was not so far in GC, and I know maybe Astana want to give the jersey because it's hard to control every day, but yep. Okay, I say maybe today is my day, so I did everything to go in a break, and when I was, I I always want to know what was the time with the peloton, and when I do at the finish line, I have 5 minutes, and I was okay. I was super happy.
The highest honour for a Frenchman, and tomorrow is the 14th of July, and you have it on your shoulders. That must be some feeling.
I think it will be unbelievable, but tomorrow is not the best day to have the jersey, because I think the guys for GC want to do the first test, and it will be hard to keep, I think, 1 minute 30 on Nibali, so I'm a little bit scary, but anyway, I will enjoy the day.